Welcome. My name is Tim Siegenbeek van Heukelom, and I'm the Chief Impact Officer at Social Suite. Social Suite is a leading sustainability technology company, and with our materiality management software, we're truly reimagining the materiality assessment. So today, I want to talk a little bit more about why materiality is such a core component in corporate sustainability. We've seen around the world, driven initially by investors and their demand for comparable and standardized sustainability information, followed soon by society and consumers who really wonder where products and services come from and how they affect the people and climate around us. And most recently also, really driven by governments and regulators, with compliance and regulation coming into place. All of them are demanding better business. But what we've seen then is that those stakeholder expectations on sustainability have changed quite radically from those early days in the 90s and 2000s when companies were starting to report. What we see now is that things got real. We're in a climate emergency and people around the world are experiencing heavy weather events, bushfires, storms, a lot of things that are physical impacts of climate change. With that, we're no longer interested then from companies about some hand-picked initiatives or some custom outputs about some good things they might have done somewhere. We're not interested anymore in some pretty pictures of some of the schools they built. What we want to see as stakeholders are standardized disclosures. We want to be able to compare metrics between companies, and we want to make sure that the information shared is material, or in other words, it is significant for us to understand how this company is operating in its environment. So where we're going then is from beautiful storytelling that we saw early in corporate social responsibility to more of that investor-grade data. There's really a shift there from pretty photos to that material, non-financial information. That is the transformation the world is going through right now. So what that means is that materiality really matters, because what companies now need to do is they need to really look at their value chain, look at their activities, their direct and indirect relationship with everyone in their value chain to really identify what are the material impacts that we're having on the world and what are the material risks and opportunities that our company is facing from a sustainability point of view. So materiality, is it required? Well, if we look at some of the voluntary reporting standards in the world, like GRI, they are using impact materiality, which is a voluntary approach, and a lot of companies use that around the world. Then we also have the IFRS with their sustainability disclosure standards, which is looking at financial materiality. That has been implemented by a lot of jurisdictions, for instance in Australia as the ASRS, the Australian Sustainability Reporting Standards, asking companies to report on financial materiality. So again, on the risks and opportunities that are really material, significant to their business in that sustainability and climate space. We also see that some jurisdictions go even further. In Europe, we have the Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive that the European Union has implemented, which is using both impact and financial materiality. We also have more specific materiality assessments. Think about the Task Force on Climate-Related Financial Disclosures that is really asking companies to identify those risks and opportunities related to climate. Likewise, TNFD on nature. And in Europe, we also have CSDDD that is looking at human rights and environmental degradation in the supply chain. So materiality is required in some shape or form by all these standards and legislation around the world. The good thing is that the best companies around the world are already conducting materiality assessments. They do that for three reasons. The first reason is that they do that to inform their strategy. By knowing what is significant and what is important, you can really get a clear focus on what you should be doing. And that feeds into that second area, the practice. What are you doing operationally? What are you doing day to day? And how are you embedding sustainability into your business? And then the third area, and that's where legislation really focuses on, is tell me about your performance. You've set your strategy, you've done the work now, report on that at the end of the year. So strategy, practice, and reporting, key reasons why organizations are conducting materiality assessments. But a lot of organizations that do those materiality assessments have found so far that it can be difficult, stressful, and quite resource intensive. So you might recognize any of this if you've done a materiality assessment. It can be quite a superficial process or unstructured. So sometimes organizations are not clear what process to follow or how to do that. You might get lost in endless spreadsheets. We see a lot of organizations using spreadsheets to collect all the data from their stakeholders and manage that information. Now that can be quite difficult, and that's a key problem, the stakeholder engagement, how to do that and how to do that well. Now, in doing all those things, we also find that organizations often designate a particular time frame each year to do this work. So let's call it a sprint, and that can be quite an exhausting exercise to do all that work in a month. And the result of that often is that there's a massive team burden. The team is stressed and pressured to follow a process that's not clear, to track endless spreadsheets, to engage with stakeholders, which is difficult, and do that all within a very kind of short time frame. In doing that also, they find throughout that superficial process that sometimes nothing new is discovered. And a good materiality assessment doesn't always discover something new, but often there are rich and deep insights that really come out of that process. And most organizations that struggle here find that they don't want to do this again. So they're trying to push it out. Let's do it again in 3 to 5 years. But good organizations do this annually, which is even demanded in the European Union. You have to do this every year. It's mandated by law. Now, that's the reason that at Social Suite we said there's a better way. We can reimagine materiality. And that's why we've created our Social Suite Materiality Management Platform. Now, what that means is that we really started to reimagine the materiality assessment. And first of all, we're leveraging our software to get you out of spreadsheets and to put everything in a platform that helps you manage all the information, all the stakeholder engagement, all the analysis, everything in one clear place. But we also give you a structured process that you can run throughout the year. So no more sprints. Think about it as a paced, ongoing marathon. With that, you have a clear process to follow, standardized methodology, and use our dedicated engagement features to get away from that custom survey or that engagement process, which is really difficult. And by using those features and functionality, you find that a lot of the team finds that it's a lot more supported and guided throughout that whole process. So less of a burden on the team and everyone knows what to do. Often we also find in companies and organizations that use our platform is that they do discover really rich impacts, risk, opportunities, and insights from stakeholders across their full value chain. Now, if everything is easier and you can do that ongoing monitoring and simple annual validation, we see companies that actually do it. Every year, they make sure that they keep putting information into the platform and check what that information means to their sustainability strategy, operations, and reporting. And by having everything in one place with a clear process and documentation, you're ready for assurance as well. We're working with a lot of organizations around the world to help them do their materiality assessment in a different way, in a better way. So if you're ready to reimagine your materiality assessment, we look forward to talk to you. For more information, look at our website, socialsuitehq.com. And for the latest information, follow us on LinkedIn @SocialSuite and @TimSVH. I'm looking forward to learn more about your materiality journey.